Well, honestly, the Ethan Klein Hassan throwdown, that was pretty freaking awesome. That was great content. But also, I really like now seeing the Asmongold clips, looking at as people are starting to post bits and pieces of it, and this is where, so I've been walking through some history now, because this is something, see, Lloyd DeJong's channel, DE, I think, JONG, he is a mixed race Afrikaner, there they call them colored, if I remember correctly. I don't know if he still lives in South Africa, I doubt it. But he's been going through like kind of the wildest ends of kind of conspiracy theory, but putting together what's the best documentation on what this is supposed to be about, this, that, or the other, and Kabbalah, the Templars, all these, but he's really done great digging. And a big thing he's been digging on are these militia slash socialist slash Salafist types, jihadists slash, governmental party slash, he's done some digging on that. And because this was very all poorly put together, by the time, say, Trump was president the first time, this was all in pieces. So recently, a lot of people have been like finding out, like, what is the basis of this quote unquote conspiracy? And then they end up finding out, like, oh, this part of it is the credible end of the information, and it's shocking. That alone is pretty shocking, or very elucidating in some way. You find out something about the world. You were really like, oh, that's how the world works, But a lot of this stuff having to do with the Middle East, what Islam really believes, how the young liberals have been kind of weirdly fooled into thinking they know what they're talking about when they're talking about Islam and its theology and its books that they absolutely have not read, and are not familiar with, and how it's not really a biblical religion. It's like very loosely a biblical religion. It is exceedingly different than both Judaism and Christianity, and has no real seeming attachment to it. And more people have done like the work on like where did this come from? What documentation do we have about Islam? How far back does it go? And when they're finding out, no, it was kind of a movement of warfare, of imperial kind of ethnic imperial warfare, and they needed a prophecy. Whoa, there's the other one. Look at the size of those bad boys. Well, hello there. You're a big, strong raccoon. Look at you. Where's your friend? Oh, your friend is hiding. Are you trying to eat that sign? I know, look at that. It's all colorful. What are you doing? Just taking a morning bath? Wow, you are really big. Wow. Okay. Well, that was awesome. So, I'm glad now that, people are starting to have this moment more and more. It's that the younger generation is having that moment of being aghast. Like, wait. So, they believe what? And so then at that point you're like, and you support them on your wild take streamer, bro. Okay, gotcha. Okay, okay, that kind of, all right, whatever. And then when you actually hear, like, these statements that were said, like, last night, that you're really sitting there, like, yeah, if he supports them, he believes that. And you gotta accept what that means. And I just like how now hot takes kind of stuff is people are getting in some trouble for their certain kinds of hot takes now. And so it's kind of fascinating to see, like, who will say what with gusto, or 10 toes down, as one of the statements was. So yeah, it's over, because any kind of disclosure of motivations and the truth and stuff, it's always good. That's always the fun part. That's the fun part of the plot. Like Columbo, when, he's like puffing on his cigar and he asks the person, he goes, well, but I have another question here. There's something I was just wondering here. That's always the best part. Can you catch that? And, it's clipped. Peace.